Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. On today's episode, I am out on a short afternoon to evening scouting trip at my local reservoir, New Melones. I only have a few hours to fish before sunset, so today I'm going to test my theory if spring is arriving quickly here in Northern California. I will be targeting black bass in these newly flooded back bays to see whether or not the bass have moved into this shallower water. The depth I'm going to try and target these fishes in will be anywhere between 5 to 10 feet. The reservoir is rising rapidly, and I know that there will be probably a few black bass in this shallow water. Black bass are a great indicator species to whether or not spring is coming. If I pick up bass in these shallow flooded back bays, I know that many other warm water species will begin to move actively, and I could start targeting them as well. This year in 2025, Northern California hadn't received as much rain as we would normally get during the wet years, and we've been having some pretty consistent warm weather, and it's been a mild winter. So therefore, I am anticipating that it is going to be an early spring this year. Despite the air temperature being cold, it seems like these fishes during the dry years will seem to navigate toward these shallower waters, knowing that it will be an early spring. The water temperatures are still pretty cold, but these black bass will start moving onto hard structures, especially new hard structure that are flooded by the rising reservoir. I ended up getting bit, and I knew that there are some fishes after all that had moved up with the rising water into these shallow back bays. One of my favorite rigs to fish at this particular reservoir is a free rig. I find that I could pick up these fishes quite consistently with the free rig, despite the water temperatures being cold. This isn't a big bass, but it is a start. He's a nice little chunky largemouth, and I'll show him to you guys real quick. He is bright, vibrant, and full of colors. Still a bit of that winter tint, but he is pretty nonetheless. Thanks for playing, buddy. Off you go. Now I couldn't help myself and notice that there was a trout actively feeding with this flowing water that's coming down from this little inlet next to the houseboat. I didn't have any trout gear on me today, but I do in fact have some Senkos, so I ended up tossing a 4-inch Senko on my spinning rod to see if I could get this trout to bite. This time of year, an angler can catch multiple species in the shallow, whether it be catfish, crappie, trout, or bass. In general, in the spring, most fishes will be in the shallow, and the bank angler have quite a bit of advantage. In many of our lowland reservoirs and highland reservoirs, especially where trout and bass occupy the same bodies of water, I have caught trout quite successfully on the 4-inch Senko. I ended up getting this trout to bite the 4-inch Senko rigged Texas style weightless, and this was a nice little rainbow trout. Based on what I've seen today, I know that winter is at its end. Spring is fast approaching, based on the numbers of fishes I've seen in the shallow, whether it be trout or black bass. So what does that mean? That means in a few upcoming weeks here, we are going to have some epic fishing. Whether you are going to be a striper fisherman, a steelhead fisherman, trout fisherman, panfish fisherman, or black bass fisherman, I am going to try and catch them all. So stay tuned, and hopefully I'll be able to get quite a few episodes out. I caught this trout on top of the jawline, so I will try and remove the hook quickly, and I'll show him to you guys real quick before letting him go. I am not retaining him, so therefore I will try not to pull him out of the water for long so I can release him safely. I got the Senko out, so here he is. He is very bright, very pretty, full fin, but I'll let him go. Thanks for playing. So here's the basic breakdown of a free rig. Originally developed in South Korea, it is a variation of a Texas rig. However, what this allows me to do is use a slow gliding bait on an EWG style hook to present the bait in a much slower fashion compared to a Texas rig. I like to fish this on a medium casting setup. All I will do is give the bait a cast, normally as far as I can, because I'm going to work this bait slowly back into the shallows. The area I'm targeting here is roughly about 5 to 8 feet. I know that there will probably be some bass roaming the shallow water. All I will do is give this bait short little hops along the bottom and I will wait for the tungsten sinker to make contact with the bottom. Every time the sinker makes contact with the bottom, I will give it short hops because the water is still relatively cold, so I don't want to make long gliding motions. Unlike the Texas rig, where the sinker and the plastic bait is attached as a solid one piece, the free rig allows me to slow down the plastic presentation as it continues to glide in short spurts or long spurt based on how warm the water is and how active the fishes are. I find that early in the season like this, black bass will respond to a lot much quicker, shorter pop versus a long, fast pops. It is a very effective way to take black bass in the late winter to early spring period, as well as the late summer period. I also prefer the free rig over the Tokyo rig. I ended up getting bit within a few feet from the banks, and as expected, this spotted bass was in the shallow. He was in about maybe a foot and a half of water at most as he chased down the free rig. Not a bad fish, a pretty healthy chunky cookie cutter spot from the new Melones Reservoir. This size is pretty common, but they fight very well, so I will show him to you guys real quick before letting him go. He is very bright and very pretty nonetheless. Thanks for playing, buddy. Rest up a bit, and off you go. Overall, it was just a great little short evening beating the bank on my local reservoir, New Melones. I caught a few fishes for the camera today, despite not having much time to fish. Now I know for a fact that an early spring is coming. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, tight lines y'all.